has, rather the cabinet has allowed the road ministry to consider an extension of toll collections and a whole host of other announcements as well. We have the road secretary with us, Mr. Vijay Chibbar, who joins in on the phone line all the way from Brazil. Mr. Chibbar, thank you for taking the time out. If you can just elaborate for us, this announcement that has come out where the cabinet has allowed the road ministry to consider an extension of toll collections. Which are the roads which could get these toll extensions?
Well, firstly, I would like to say this is a very momentous and a very game-changing decision for the road sector because we had about 34, 35 projects which are currently under execution, but where the construction period has got delayed. This decision provides for the extension of the construction period. The tolling period as envisaged in the original contracts will remain the same. So it's not that the concessionaires would be permitted an extension in the tolling period. They would be permitted an extension in the construction period. This, however, means that whatever was the tolling period will remain intact. What has happened is that the projects which got delayed, they went in for an enhancement in cost. The concessionaires have gone to the lenders asking for increase in the lending. The lenders say that because of the delay in the cost in the project, the total period left for toll has got reduced to the extent of delay in the project. And to that extent, the projects are no longer viable as seen from the perspective of the lenders. Today's decision enables the lenders to fully fund the projects, including the enhanced costs, knowing very well that the period of concession, the period of tolling, will remain intact, and to that extent, even the incremental costs that they are going to bear will be available to them for returns against the original tolling period. I believe this is a very, very important decision, and this should take care of all the languishing projects that are currently struggling, and this will also meet substantially the requirements of the lenders.
All right, Mr. Chibbar, thanks so much for joining in today. But I just want to ask this question. We believe that 34 road projects are likely to benefit from this particular step. Could you tell us what will be the contribution that will have to come in? Will there be any kind of equity contribution that will have to come in, and any kind of number you are working with?
No, you see, you have to look at it on a macro scale.
Right.
34 big projects.
Right.
And the equity and debt is something which is determined between the concessionaire and the lenders.
Correct.
So obviously where the project costs have gone up, the lenders would be expecting the concessionaires to bring in some additional equity.
Okay.
But the main hit was being taken by the lenders because they were not seeing enough meat in the projects in case the construction period was not extended. With today's decision, which is substantially in favor of the lenders and takes care of their major concerns, I believe that we are going to be over the hill in terms of most of these languishing projects.
Okay, but just coming back to that point, can you tell us exactly which are the roads that could be getting these the extension of this construction period?
No, it's not one road or two roads. There are about 34 ongoing projects. Right now, they're spread all over the country. And they cover the whole canvas of the concessionaire sector in the country. It covers a wide variety of banks, including a large number of public sector banks. So I think today's decision is really something which is really going to change the fortunes of the road sector in a very, very comprehensive and substantive way. And I must compliment the bold decision that has been taken today.
All right, Mr. Chibbar, but I just wanted to, the analyst committee is working with around 3,000 to around 3,500 crores to get these 34 projects back on track. Is that number likely or is it way off target?
No, it is very likely. In fact,
3,000 to 3,500 crores?
Lenders and concessionaires,
right,
who have been raising this demand for quite some time. And there was just this hesitation about reopening of any contract. Any contract is considered very sacrosanct.
Correct.
So there was a hesitation in revisiting the framework of a contract. But I must re-emphasize that the concession period has not changed. Correct. It is only the construction period that has been extended. So the total period of the concession may have changed, but the period of tolling has not changed. So if the public was to be tolled for a period of, say, 15 years, as originally envisaged in the agreement, that period of 15 years will remain the same.
Okay, so the tolling period has remained intact, but there's an extension of the construction period by how much?
That will depend on each project, and this will be determined on the basis of the inputs given by a third party, the independent engineer, who keeps a tab on a day-to-day account on the project. His recommendation will then be placed before the board of the NHAI, and subject to that approval of the board, who will verify the recommendation of the independent engineer, the extension would be made to that extent.
Okay. Is there any other positive in the cabinet meeting that we've not spoken about? Because there are some other lines that we're getting with respect to the cabinet approving a segregation of the civil construction cost. Go ahead.
Yeah, the second major decision was with reference to the threshold within which the roads ministry is permitted to appraise and approve projects, which is 1,000 crores. This 1,000 crores included the cost of land, the civil cost, and the centages that are part of the contract. I think the second decision relates to permitting this threshold to be applicable only with respect to the civil cost, because land costs have gone through the roof. And if we add the cost of land, 1,000 crores does not become a very meaningful sum in terms of the project size. This second decision allows us to take up a far more larger number of projects within the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, and to that extent hasten the process of decision making for award of projects.
All right, Mr. Chibbar, but does the amount of toll, does that go up?
Beg your pardon?
Does the amount of toll go up, the amount of toll that will be collected?
No. That's what I'm re-emphasizing. The amount of toll remains the same as originally envisaged in the project. We are only restoring the amount of toll. Had we not restored the amount of toll, there is not enough meat in these projects for the lenders to continue to lend for these languishing projects. Once we have said that the project construction period can be extended, the projects can now be happily financed by the lenders, knowing fully well that the period of toll will remain the same. And to that extent, they will be able to recover their investments. This is a very major decision in favor of the lending community.
Okay, just coming back to the point you were making about the threshold which is applicable to the civil costs, you did say that it will be easier for a larger number of projects to get completed. Can you just quantify that for us, or just throw some more color on that?
Well, this year we are supposed to award 10,000 kilometers of roads. By September we had completed 5,000 kilometers, and that is, we had awarded 5,000 kilometers. And for that purpose, we had appraised and approved 163 projects.
Okay.
For the balance 5,000 kilometers that are left between October and March 31st, I estimate that we will need to appraise and approve another 150 projects. So the point that the more dispensation that has been given to the Ministry of Road Transport enables us to appraise these projects in-house within the ministry, and to also approve them within the ministry, and thereby achieve these targets. If this decision had not been taken, a large number of projects would necessarily have to be sent for appraisal to the Ministry of Finance, and after that recommendation, they would have to go to the cabinet. This is a time-consuming process and would have put in some difficulty the capacity of the ministry to achieve the target. With this decision, I'm quite confident that the target of 10,000 kilometers of award during the current year will get achieved.
Okay, that's very good to hear. Thank you, Mr. Chibbar, for stopping by and explaining all the positives that have come out from the cabinet meeting. We need to get back to the markets, because now the Nifty is down more than 100 points and is at the lowest point of trade. No amount of positives are, sort of causing the markets to rebound. In fact, the Sensex is now down 370 odd points. We have Ravi Shenoy of Motilal Oswal Securities